welcome to the show.
Give us a song, Anthony.
Here's a song. This song is instrumental. That's exactly why I'm singing right now about how it's so essential. Because the song is not instrumental in the sense that there are no words. It's instrumental in the sense that it's important. It's monumental. The song comes after the last one, and the one right before it goes right before the next song, and the song that's after that. Each song is instrumental. You cannot remove a single one without compromising the integrity of the track listing. So listen to me sing. This song is instrumental. This song is instrumental. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Dustin Chafin.
Yay! What's up, everybody? Welcome back, Dustin's Vinyl. Good for Anthony. Yes. Writing them songs, buddy. What number? That's how many songs we got this month? So like 20, 23?
I did. Well, I in February I wrote 23.
Wow.
23 songs, and now I'm working on recording and mixing an album, and
That's almost the entire month of February. That's amazing.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's almost a song every day.
Did you do a Black History song?
No, I didn't. They're all about me.
Hilarious. We had some funny banter before the show started. I think before the show is better than the real show. So we're going to just start airing that and then just not even air this part anymore.
Sometimes we do. Sometimes it's a hot mic.
Occasionally. All right.
Robert Durst style.
Exactly. We have all kinds of rules here now. So we can all have our way. Let's bring in the other two riffraff. Give it up for Adam Holtz and Jeffrey Paul, everybody.
All right.
What's up, dudes?
What is that?
Hey, guys.
folks?
Jeff, look at this shirt. Green.
Oh, wow. That's old school.
It's
What
actually,
is that?
it's new school because I am a subscription member of the new magazine.
Oh,
Yeah, but I remember Cream, man, like growing up in the 80s. I remember that magazine.
Yeah, pretty great cover. Some dude.
Yeah, that's a really good one. Wow, look at that. You know what? I'm going to have to get that issue.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's a limited thing. They only do like 4 a year, I think, because it costs a lot of money to do these kind of magazines. Like, when you're not like a company like Rolling Stone or whatever. So yeah, it's cool though. It's got a lot of punk articles and stuff. I'll let Anthony borrow.
I gotta check it out.
Yeah, it's got nudity. You know what I mean? Like it's.
Did you have this growing up in Texas, Dustin?
Yeah, as a kid, I remember it.
You remember it, right?
Yeah, Parade and Cream and all that.
Right.
Oh yeah, Hit Parade.
Yeah.
I used to read that.
Now, I got the Rolling Stone, and then last week it seemed like Adam was excited about, Boy Genius. And yes, it is their take on the Nirvana cover. This band kind of let me down. I watched one of their videos, and it was awesome. It was like hard. It was hardcore. And then I went down a catalog thing, and it was like all Mazzy Star, Indigo Girl. It was real slow. I was really hoping for kind of a punk hard kind of sound from these three girls, and that's not what I got. I don't know. Am I missing some great album there? Because I feel like the new album is all just slow stuff.
yeah.
Like ballady, kind of acousticy stuff. I mean, it's great, but I'm just kind of over that. I was hoping these chicks would rock. So, you can't do that. You can't do the Nirvana pose and then just like break out some Lilith Fair. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Unless they did like the Nirvana Unplugged, if they had like the lilies everywhere.
But even the Unplugged Nirvana is hard. I mean, it's deep and crazy and whatever. It still kind of rocks.
Right.
Their stuff is very slow and it's fun and nice and whatever. They're good, but I was expecting more.
Have you listened to their solo stuff?
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Like Phoebe Bridgers or Lucy
is that the better
Dacus?
stuff? Is it better?
Oh,
they do better solo than they are together.
Yeah.
That happens.
Wait, so that's the band that Phoebe Bridgers?
Yep.
Is
Yeah,
in?
that's her. She's this one, I think, right?
The next album is going to be like a whole tribute to Fiona Apple.
Oh, that's cool. Wait, it's a joke? I love Fiona Apple.
I love how Anthony got excited.
But she's a criminal.
My favorite catchphrase on the show is, "Of course you do."
Oh, of course you do. You don't like Fiona Apple? Come on.
She was all right when she came out. She was,
She was all right.
She was all right.
She was Kate Moss, who can sing.
Well, it was all that stuff, that was just popular. All that. And that's what this sounds like. It's just like that's.
Well, I gotta check it out then. Who are the other two? Because I know Phoebe.
It's Lucy Dacus and Julian. I forget her last name.
Julia Baker.
Baker. Yeah.
Oh, I don't know their stuff.
Are they supposed to be They're supposed to be a super group.
Yep.
Oh, okay. See, that's why I was on the show.
Looks amazing.
So that's why we let him go long when he
knows his stuff.
He actually knows stuff. I'm trying really hard. I'm reading stuff, but it doesn't go. It goes in, it goes out. It's nothing ever stays here.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to shorten it up a bit today.
I'm kidding with you, dude. Shut up, dude. You're the best. You're better. Come on. You and Jeff are always good. Anthony and I are like, we listened to it like 3 hours ago. And then what does Wikipedia say? Hold on. I got this.
I pull it up on my phone.
These two actually do the research, but that's all right. That's why you're on the show. It's a balance. It's a balance.
Anthony, how'd you like that? It was good.
Yeah, pretty good.
That's it.
Thumbs
That's
up.
it.
I liked it.
Oh, us. Yeah. Sometimes I do. I'm definitely going to do that today.
Not bad.
But well, Jeff had a great idea because last week we did the 50 worst albums on Rolling Stone list. We felt a few should have been on there, a few shouldn't. It was that kind of thing. And a lot of these, I think, were kind of meant to kind of be this idea that Jeff came up with, which is the concept album, which I think that's kind of what some of these things are going for. And as I was doing mine and as I was listening to you guys, I really feel there's only 3 great ones. I feel there's some good ones, and I feel like the Rush 2112 is good, but I feel like the great ones.
What do you think of great
3
ones?
that I own, and I feel like
what's this?
Sgt. Pepper's.
Sgt. Pepper. Oh, I have it too.
That's a great album.
Is amazing, and I feel the 2 Pink Floyd, The Wall.
There we go.
Yeah.
And I feel like everything else is like under that. I feel like. Nobody's hit the mark like that. Jeff, what was the Led Zeppelin movie? Was that a concept album and a movie?
It was not a concept album.
Okay.
It was just a bunch of clips and everything.
Okay.
They never came up with a concept album.
Okay.
Okay.
So I can't really,
But Led Zeppelin, at some point, they stopped releasing singles, right? Because they wanted people to listen to their full albums.
Right.
So it's almost.
But they also were never an AM band. Their songs were too long.
Oh, yeah.
I think the last one was like Immigrant Song, which was like came in at a little over 3 minutes.
That's a great song.
Yeah. It's a great
one. Off of one of their worst albums.
Well, yeah, that is a weird album. I have the album. It's not terrible.
Well, listen, compared to everybody else, it's a great album.
What's
compared
the one
to
with
Zeppelin? It's probably their second worst album.
Okay. What's the one in the paper bag?
Zeppelin 4.
That one's
Which one has that song Hot Dog?
That's Coda.
That is
Corn Dog. That
was also an outtake. That was not. That was not like
awful.
Yeah, that was like after Bonham died, and they had stuff that was that they had just recorded.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Well, that's
that was if he would have lived, that may never have been released. Or
what about their reggae song? That's also not very good. That's up there with
nobody's
Nelson.
reggae song is ever good.
Dire Maker's great
unless you do reggae. We learned that last week.
Right.
Like unless you are a reggae band, don't do a reggae. UB40 is probably the only ones that pulled it off.
Yeah, they got away with it somehow.
They pulled it off. Red Red Wine is a fun song. I don't really feel it's a reggae song, but it's in the genre, and it's a solid song that you'll crank up if you're by yourself, you know, in the car or whatever. Like it's a solid song. It got a
I
little
wouldn't say
overplayed.
Zeppelin has a reggae song.
Led Zeppelin, they got too greedy. They were like, we stole a lot of blues songs. Where do we go from here?
Who didn't?
Reggae.
Who didn't? Who didn't? Who didn't? You don't think the Eels stole a blues song? Everybody did.
Oh, here we go.
Everybody stole
Here
blues
we
songs.
go.
Every rock and roller stole blues songs. That's just
true.
how it is. I mean, if you call yourself AC/DC and freaking everybody, dude, there's not one band on the planet. The Beatles, everybody. Rolling
Except for
Stones,
Sabbath.
Definitely the Rolling Stones. But everybody did.
Sabbath didn't.
Yeah, they
Sabbath didn't? Yes,
No.
they did. Yes,
did.
they did. Very bluesy.
No,
That first
but
album.
they
was-
didn't steal from anybody.
It's not stealing. Every blues song is like one song, and everybody just kind of takes off of that one song. It's one like Muddy Waters song, and everybody does it in one way or another.
Even the guys before Muddy Waters stole from Muddy Waters.
Yeah, some dude with a cigarette. What's that guy's name? At the cigarette, the Hendrix?
Robert Johnson.
Robert Johnson. Everybody
yeah,
stole
Robert.
from Robert Johnson. That's where it all comes from. Robert Johnson on a farm just playing guitar. That's where it all
Love that
comes
stuff.
from. All right. So Jeff is going to lead us off today because he's going to be kind of in charge of this today. So
Okay.
go, Jeff.
Yes, I'll get us going.
You call on us too. You go. I'm not want that pressure today.
I'm not saying
All
anything.
you. It's all you.
You know,
Nobody's
you guys
saying anything.
ask
I'm just gonna
me
be doing
about
this
it
a
or
lot.
don't.
Hey guys,
I-
please
doing
don't
this a lot.
fight. You know, we want to try and keep it nice on this show. Okay, this is a family oriented show. Okay, and
It
so
is.
so back when it came to concept albums, I think everyone like in the 70s and into the 80s had like kind of the same idea. You know, I mean, think about what the times were. This was we'll get to you, Dustin.
I'm kidding. I'm
Okay.
sorry. Go ahead.
Think about what the times were. This was like the time of the anti-rock music activists. This, you know, you had the Tipper Gores of the world going at, you know, you had the Senate trying to, and Congress trying to regulate and put stickers on albums. And so the whole thing was like, you know, all these bands were coming up with this idea. What if rock and roll was dead and they banned rock and roll, man? What if they, okay? And Rush does a really great job of it. That's what 2112 is about. And Styx kind of borrows that idea. So in 1983, and they had started working on this album a couple of years earlier. This becomes their 11th studio album. When it's released, it is immediately jumps into the top 10. The first week they had sold over 1 million albums. Okay, so this was like a really big anticipated album. The problem with this album is this is what I like to refer to as the album that broke up the band, because Dennis DeYoung, who was kind of like the de facto leader of the group, really had this Broadway composer side to him. He always kind of envisioned himself writing plays and musicals. And then you had another fraction of the band, which was Tommy Shore and James Young, that wanted to just do a touring rock band, a Chicago-based rock and roll band. And so, you know, this album is really over the top. It sprung 2 major hits in Mr. Roboto and Don't Let It End, 2 very, very different type of songs. Rolling Stone magazine called it one of the 50 greatest concept albums of all time. And really the concept of it is fascists have banned rock music, and different members of the band are playing different characters. Like Dennis DeYoung plays Robert Oren Charles Kilroy. Now, if you take those initials, guess what it spells? Rock. You get it? It spells rock. See, they were really deep. Now listen to how terrible.
And the drugs were good. They were deep, and the drugs were good.
You know,
Okay.
and Dennis DeYoung would take this really super serious. James Young plays Dr. Everett Righteous. These are fucking brutal names. Okay.
I love it. I love it.
Yes, and the problem with this was this was a big production because they did the whole thing on stage with costumes, and if you remember, Mr. Roboto's the robot head, and they played like when they played in New York. I think they played in a venue that was smaller than the Beacon. They played at some weird little theaters. So this was a big production, cost a lot of money. They went on the road and really didn't make the kind of money that they had when they could have easily at this time had been playing stadiums, and they don't. Even those two songs that I had just mentioned were the big hits. The songs that I thought were better songs on this album, I love Tommy Shaw. I think he has one of the most beautiful, most natural voices in rock music. And I thought the song Just Get Through This Night is an absolute killer song. And I thought the duet between Shaw and Dennis DeYoung, Haven't We Been Here Before, is a really, really good song. So let's start with Anthony, because I don't want him to be offended. Let's start with Anthony.
Wow. Okay.
Anthony, and by the way, as I was listening to this album, I was like, Anthony is going to love this. If only if John Mellencamp could have made a special appearance on it, this would have really completed for Anthony. So go ahead, Anthony.
I thought that we were done picking terrible albums.
come on.
So I hadn't heard the whole. I heard Dr. Roboto.
Mr.
Before.
Roboto.
Mr. Roboto, whatever.
Okay, he didn't get his PhD yet.
Oh, he's still working on the PhD. I didn't know any of the rest of the songs. That song is fine, but it is by far the best song on the album. And,
Mr. Roboto?
Yeah, which was surprising to me because that song was pretty goofy. But this,
Anthony, did you know, like, when they were in concert, they would have someone come up on stage. One time I went to the show and they had me come up on stage and I wore the robot head and did like the movements.
Did you?
No, I just made that up. That is taken directly from Big Daddy, but go on.
Oh. I thought every song was cheesy and really lame, and I thought the album cover was like very racist. That's that.
Well, the robots were made in Japan.
Yeah, I don't know about that. It's a caricature. I did not. It's interesting because I can hear aspects of bands that I do like in this. I can hear influences from Queen, and there's some Cheap Trick kind of elements. And
that's the Chicago sound guy.
And maybe a little. The Mr. Roboto reminds me a little bit of Rush. It kind of sounds like it sounds like that Free Will song, but I think that came out later. So
Free Will came out earlier.
It did?
Yeah.
Then there's some Rush influence in there as well. But I hated what they did with those influences. Just terrible. Every song was worse than the one before.
Okay, so we're going to put you down that you didn't like it.
I didn't like it. By the time they had the reprise of Don't Let It End,
You liked the reprise. There was a reprise.
I was like, no, please let it end. I wish it never began.
So on that note, Dustin Chafin.
Well, Just Get Through the Night was the song that, because that's what this album was like. Just if I could just get through this. Nah, I was kidding. Paradise Theater is really the only album that I really love, from Styx. I feel like that's the album that I kind of grew up on and stuff. What album is Renegade on? That's a great song.
Renegade is on the one with Come Sail Away.
Okay, yeah.
Grand Illusion.
Grand Illusion. That's another good album, I think. I really love Renegade.
That's a great one.
Is the Steelers play that when they need the defense to step it up. But so yeah, it's a little cheesy, but they're so talented. Like it's kind of one of those things where it's easy to dismiss them because of the date, how dated the album is. But if you really kind of listen in, these people, I mean, they can sing their asses off and play their asses off. It's not like it's some, crappy band trying to do something. Like this is a very talented band trying, it's the same way, like Anthony Hates the Eagles or whatever. It's like that's still a talented band. Same with Styx. I mean, they could play everything. And,
great musicians. I'd rather they played somebody else's songs, maybe.
Have you ever heard Renegade? That's a good song.
I don't know Renegade, but
I think you would like Renegade. It's kind of hard not to like Renegade. That's a solid song. I think you'd get pumped up if you heard that right now. You would try to tackle your girlfriend, your wife. Sorry. That still feels weird. Really,
Isn't
wife?
it weird to say wife? Yeah, I'm still adjusting to it. It's almost a year.
But back to this. I'm not married to this album, but
no. No.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of it's like I said, they're talented, but this is probably not the best thing. But it's a risk that they took, and it's an experimentation, and I love it that they played around. Because that's what good bands do, I think, is like they get successful and then they go, all right, dude, let's just fuck around and see what happens. And I think that's what this album seems like to me. And I like it that, they're just trying to break it up and do something different. I don't know. But
What do you think, Adam Holtz?
Well, I think of
We're gonna put a clock in the corner, by the way. Go on.
All right, I would say for overproduced, dated 80s sounding kitchen sink albums, I preferred last week's Cheap Trick album to this one.
I agree.
Wow.
Oh,
I don't
yeah.
think so. I don't
By
think
far.
Yeah. That one was
Really?
catchy. It was hokey, but it wasn't as bad as this. I think the problem I had with this is that I did like some of the ballads on this, but for this theatrical sounding, they have this entire story. I didn't really get that story out of this album. Like the story of the story you were talking about before. I had to go read about it because I was like, what the hell was that about? There's no resolution. It's I don't know.
It's just like Footloose, right?
Right.
Footloose and Rock
Yeah,
Opera.
pretty much.
Yes. Right. That seemed to be the thing in the 80s. You had band dancing, you band rock music, right? But can you imagine if you put those people in a time machine, or you put Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion in a time machine, and they played WAP, back in the early 80s, that would have blown people's minds. It would have been scanners. People's heads would have exploded.
Right.
Scanners.
I don't know. Would it? I mean, there's some pretty raunchy stuff.
Yeah, but
coming out way
they
before
wanted to
that.
outlaw stuff like this as and you want to put Wet Hot Pussy in a.
Yeah, I mean, well, people are chauvinist because Two Live Crew was doing it.
People have lost their minds during that too.
They
love
were.
that
But I'm
album.
just saying, but they were selling cassette tapes. I'll tell you that. I mean,
Yeah, I had
it
one.
helped them sell more. Yeah,
Absolutely, it was scandalous.
scandalous.
All right, Dustin. Well, I'm you know what? Let's get to 21 Pilots. Go ahead. Let's go with yours.
All right, so that was all right. There's a little abrasive, but I like it. I like Jeff. It's like, he's got security guard energy. I like it. All right, Dustin, let's get your stupid album out of the way because I'm going to shit on it. Here we go. Let's go.
That'd be great. Have a little badge, nightstick, and we're doing. Anthony, you control yourself during this segment.
Very.
You will not shit on any more Styx albums. Now you go, Dustin.
Yeah.
No, very
So
regimented.
somebody was a teacher. I could tell. All right, here we go. This is 21 Pilots. This is a 5th studio album from this band. I love this band. I know you guys aren't as crazy about them as I am. I just love something that the kids listen to that I actually enjoy. And this is one of those bands that I just enjoy. This is a follow-up to their hit album, Blurry Fist, which is a great album. It came out in 2015. That's an album that, I listen to a lot here in the homestead. But this is Trench, and it's really funny, and you guys are going to laugh at me. I got really excited about this album before I knew anything about it. And I kept seeing it in the record store, and I was like, all right, I bought their other album, the newest album, then I bought like Blurry Face, and I was like, I got to get that album. And because it said Smithereens was on there, and I thought they did a song with the Smithereens. I was like, what a cool merger. I can't wait to get this album. And so I was like putting it off, but I was going to get this album. And even up till this, I still thought that they maybe did a song with them. And then I was so disappointed that it was just a track on the album, Smithereens, which is a great song. At least it's a good song on the album. But what's one thing is cool about this band is, I know Anthony had talked before. He doesn't love their rapping or whatever, but I feel like they're not a band that's trying to be like, Eminem or anything. Like, it's very soulful rapping. Like, it's just kind of what has evolved into like what the generation is doing now and the influences that they have. So I feel like it's very soulful. It doesn't come off like they're trying to be hip hoppy or whatever. It's a different kind of rapping that they do, and I enjoy it. And lyrically, I feel like they're in tune to a lot of problems that are happening in young lives, young people's life and stuff. And this album is a concept album. It exposes mental health and like suicide and doubt and a lot of things that young people have. and it's framed in the metaphorical city of Dema, I guess, and a surrounding valley known as Trench, and that's kind of what this whole thing is. And you know, they got me with the whole. I'm a sucker for Edgar Allan Poe Raven kind of thing. So, but it's cool. It's got like a lot of cool artwork and a booklet, and you can kind of like follow along. And yeah, I like this band. Tyler Joseph and Paul Meany kind of went in on this concept, and you know, I think there's you know, the standout songs, Smithereens. I like the first song, Jumpsuit. I think that's a really one of the better songs actually on the album. And yeah, it's you know, Chlorine I like a lot. I think that's a good song. And yeah, this is kind of one of those albums that I just, you know, as far as concept, like I said, I feel like there's a top 5 and then everything else is kind of fun and experimental, and you know, but I do enjoy this band a lot. I feel like there's a band you can just put on, and most of the songs are going to be pretty groovy, and you're going to feel it and have a good time with it. But yeah, so that's my take on it.
Hey, Adam Holtz, what do you think about Trench?
Well, it took me a few listens, but I really started to come around to this album. I started to like it. I really like Scaled and Icy, the one we covered a while back, and you know, I think what I like about this is that there is a lot of they do a lot of genre hopping. There's you know, there's rock, there's reggae. I mean, we were talking about reggae before. It works. It works in this case. You have disco, you have electronic, and it just all blends together into this almost original sound. Like, you listen to this, you're like, this is you hear it and you're like, this is a 21 Pilots song.
Yeah.
It kind of reminds me of you know, Tame Impala is a similar kind of band too. And but I mean, I really enjoyed this album. I thought you know, songs like Morph, My Blood, Chlorine, those three just actually the first 5 songs just work perfect together. But yeah, this is one that it started to grow on me, and I got to check out Blurry. I haven't heard Blurry Face, so I got to check out that album too.
Really good. Yeah.
All right. We covered another 21 Pilots album, so this is my second trip into them, and I'm not a huge fan. I know this isn't really geared towards me, but I do like some of the points you made, that they do take some risks here, that they you know, that they're a thoughtful band, that they do play instruments. I do love that about them, and you know, and new music. They're not playing to tracks or anything like that. When the first song, I love the music of Jumpsuit. I love it. Okay. I hate the singing. You know, and then as the album goes on, it annoyed me more and more. I think the singer has a weak voice. I thought Chlorine, like you said, was a good song, great pop song, but didn't like the weak vocals on it. To me, that I thought the standout song was Non-Gravestones. I thought this was a really powerful song, and usually I like a song that has a hook and that is really catchy, and this was anything but it, you know, it was soulful, it was meaningful, and it really kind of reminded me of almost like a Pink Floyd type of song. I also kind of heard a little bit of Linkin Park in their sound, especially when they, like a song like the beginning of Jumpsuit, how heavy it is, and that's why I was getting excited for it. And then I didn't hear anything really much like it the rest of the album, but it's pop. I like the music. I think the vocals don't do it for me. What do you think, Anthony?
I
thought you were gonna miss him because you went to you before him.
I wanted to like jump back to you, but I didn't want Anthony to start kicking microphones and all of a sudden.
I'm out of here.
He packs up. We just watch him pack up.
I liked the first song, Jumpsuit. And I liked that the songs were like kind of connected, you know, it just kind of flowed into the next thing. But I didn't love it. It's not for me.
Okay.
Not a huge fan of the first song. They didn't have the like weird rapping, and just in case
but he
people
was
don't,
singing in it. Remember?
Yeah, he was singing. I don't mind his singing, and I like
I don't
hip hop.
like it.
Just in case people don't, I don't like when they.
We
rap.
know you're racist. We've already.
I don't like. I don't like this.
It's not
guy
hip hop
rapping.
though. It's not hip hop. Like I feel like, he blondes the way Blondie was rapping. You know what I mean? Like it's just a
Oh
different
yeah, that
thing.
was also pretty rough. Eating cars and playing guitars, whatever. Whatever
That was embarrassing. You're right.
That's so bad.
And then you meet the man from Mars.
Yeah.
I mean,
But-
you know.
Yeah, but I didn't. I was when Adam. I think it was Adam. It made the comparison to Tame Impala. I think maybe that's one of the reasons I don't like them that much is because I kind of like Tame Impala, and to me, this band is like a worse version of it.
I don't know about worse version.
Well, to me,
they're very
to me,
talented. They're like the top band of all. Like right now, they're selling out at every arena
yeah.
in the country.
Well, maybe I guess
Yeah,
it's
so
not,
was Maneskin.
It's not for me.
jeez.
Oh, dude, they're good. That first album's great.
Maneskin?
Oh man, it's
I've heard of them. I think I don't know.
Yeah,
their stuff.
they won Europop. They're an Italian band.
yeah.
They're sexy. They're a very sexy band, Anthony.
Okay, well I gotta check them out. I like sexy music.
You know, the music is very sexual. It's the whole sexual. Speaking of sexy, I love Adam's hair. It looks really good. Okay, he wants to get a haircut and ruin it, but I suggest you don't. But go ahead. Let's talk about who did you pick? What was your concept album?
All right, so I went with one of my favorite bands, The Hold Steady, and this was their second album, 2005, Separation Sunday, and I don't know if you guys know the story of I don't know if you guys have heard The Hold Steady before, but it's the lead singer Craig Finn and guitarist Tad Kubler were in a band called Lifter Polar, post-punk band in Minnesota. They break up and they move out to Brooklyn, and I think it was around 2004 they formed The Hold Steady. They came out with an album called The Hold Steady Almost Killed Me. It was basically named it had more of like a kind of it was more a rock sound, but it was more of, people were saying like this is a kind of a great American bar band. That was the kind of sound they had. So Separation Sunday, their second studio album, is a concept album where it's definitely a tighter album than The Hold Steady Almost Killed Me. And this album follows a girl named Hallelujah. Her friends call her Holly, and she's basically kind of a lost soul. She's screwed up on religion, on drugs. She's a prostitute, and it basically follows her from her teens all the way up till she's reborn or possibly dead. It's the story follows a few different characters, and Craig Finn as the lead singer is the narrator, is an unreliable narrator. But it's a really it's a really tight story. So his kind of his voice, he has this like talk singing voice that puts a lot of people off, but once you get used to it, it works really well with the band. And in the band, like the music itself is more classic rock. It's the rock that he said it's the rock he grew up on. He was a big Springsteen fan, Paul Westerberg fan from the Replacements. But also they were going for a kind of AC/DC, Thin Lizzy. I think there's bits of Journey in there. There's some Zeppelin sound in the music, and this was the first album I heard from The Hold Steady, and probably one of my favorites of theirs. This Boys and Girls America, which is their album right after, and Stay Positive, all kind of check back in with these characters. Even though those aren't concept albums, they check back in with these characters. So there's a lot of kind of self-referencing in here. There's a lot of mythology that's being built, a lot of world building, and and the band built up a really dynamic fan base, kind of like off of this album, the next two albums, and this is I think this is great rock. They're an absolutely incredible, one of the best live bands. If you go check them out, they are just a really fun band. So what do you guys think?
Well, let's go with Anthony on this one.
I liked it. It's not my favorite, but it was out of the ones we've talked about so far, I liked this the most.
Out of the two that we talked about, and one of them was
this is the
six.
third.
Okay.
This is the the third of the four. I liked it. The talk singing thing was cool. It was also the thing that kind of made all the songs sound the same to me. So by the end of the album, I was ready for it to be over, but I did enjoy it. I like the sound. It's a cool. I wish that there was a little more variation in the sound that they're bringing, but I like the sound.
Well, the next album is where he starts to sing a bit more. There's more variation in there, and then I think that's the only issue really with the Hold Steady is that they do a lot of the same subject matter over most of their albums, so it could get
I don't mind the subject matter though. I just it just would be nice if it sounded like a different song once in a while. But I liked it. It was cool.
Did you get that same opinion, Dustin?
Yeah, but you like the Ramones, so I mean, seriously.
That's true. That's true.
Well, I feel like I am a accomplished talk singer. Anthony and I have produced 2 songs together, and it's one is "Country to the City" and the pandemic song, and they were all
COVID
talk song. Yeah, that was a COVID comedy.
You're very Lou Reed like.
I liked it.
The Lou Reed
I'll take it.
impersonation.
I'll take it. I actually like Lou Reed, so it's not an insult when you say it to me. It'd be an insult if I said it to you. But
Oh my God.
but yeah, I mean, I like this. It's a little Boomtown Rats, a little. It had like a lot of
like
kind of
Boomtown Rats.
old school stuff, English stuff. Yeah, I mean, this is one of those albums. Yeah, it kind of. I like it sometimes when there's not like huge jumps in the music. I mean, I'm a huge AC/DC fan, probably for that reason. Like sometimes, I like songs to kind of, that just kind of blend together nicely, not like boringly, but nice. I thought they did a good job. It sounds like they were like a good bar band at some point. And then I love bands getting bigger and bigger. And I'd never heard of this band, so it's always exciting to hear something new. I always wonder about like this concept album thing where I almost feel like that should be something later. I can't believe they did a concept album second album.
Yeah.
That feels like a little.
You are?
Yeah, it's like second album. Hey, we're gonna do this concept thing. You know what I mean? Like it took. How many did the Beatles do before they did one? You know what I mean? Like it just feels like it's something later you do.
Absolutely. Wow, I didn't even think about that. I can't think of any band that has done a concept album without releasing at least like 4 or 5 albums.
Yeah,
and you want to kind of like
early.
change things up. Yeah, that is.
early.
I didn't even think that is a great point.
Well, the band that they had right before Lifter Polar, their final album was a concept album. So kind of, I guess, just even though it's a different band, they kind of just carry that over.
Oh, right. So they were already artists that had been creating.
Oh, okay.
It's just
so
a new
kind of
name.
in the zone, I guess.
Yeah.
But it was good. I liked it.
You liked it? I liked the song "You Little Hood Rat." I definitely heard the Springsteen influence in it. But the thing is, with that song and a lot of the other songs on this album, I would have liked to have heard the sound expand. I would have liked to have heard like more of like a wall of sound. I would have liked to have heard like more piano in it. If you're gonna do Springsteen, you gotta have some piano in there. And the drums I thought were a little weak. I would have liked to have heard like a bigger sound. The song I think it was called "Banging Camp."
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The artist that reminded me a lot of was, do you remember Matthew Sweet in the early 90s? He had the song "Sick of Myself."
Mm-hmm.
That's all of a sudden my head went right to there. That's what it sounded like to me. But I kind of agree a lot with what Anthony said. A lot of them sounded the same, and after a while you kind of like zone out on this one. So it really, I could see it being like, I would love to hear them do covers. They would probably sound great like a cover band.
They have some great Dylan covers, some great Springsteen covers. But Jeff, you were talking about the the Wall of Sound. And if you listen to their next album after this, Boys and Girls in America, it is pretty much it's almost like Born to Run. That's really when they go towards that grander Springsteen sound. It's kind of like if this album was the Wild.
Do they throw some brass in there?
Yeah. They have the Horn Steady. The Horn Steady is their brass area.
No, because I think that would have really pulled this together a lot better.
Well, that's the thing, is one of their secret weapons is Franz Nicolay, who's the keyboardist, piano player, and he really shines on Boys and Girls in America. and the album right after it, Stay Positive. He leaves the band after that. The band has 2 subpar releases. He comes back, and they have another 2 strong releases.
They probably should have waited an album or 2 before they put this out, and maybe add more sound, a little bit better production on it.
Or maybe done a Christmas album first, and then
Maybe started with a Christmas album.
that'd be funny. That would be so funny if a band like that was their first album, was Christmas album,
Right.
and then the second album was just like ska or something. And
We just be like covers. We want to ease into our sound, man.
You guys want to start a band?
that's actually really funny. A band should do that. I think that would be a ridiculous way to open.
Let's start a band and do it.
Great. Speaking of great, Anthony
Oh
Kapfer.
my God.
We didn't even talk about your band. I don't want you coming to New York to beat me up. So good.
Exactly.
About
He
your
gets,
band.
he gets feisty. You better call him.
He
All right.
does. I don't want to. I don't get him upset.
That's why I let you do it today. He,
Watch it. Watch yourself. All right. I picked the Eels, Hombre Lobo, 12 Songs of Desire. It's the 7th Eels album. Came out in 2009. And it's a concept album about longing and desire. So the Eels albums before this were typically pretty autobiographical, and so this one, there's a main character who is sort of a reference of I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Eels' previous work, but on their album Souljacker, there's a song called Dog-Faced Boy. And so the Dog-Faced Boy is
That was my nickname in high school, by the way.
Yeah. Well, I think that's probably where this came from.
Yes,
So
I can relate
the
to it.
concept is what happens when the Dog-Faced Boy grows up. And so Mark Everett, he has a giant beard by this point in real life. So he's kind of the dog-faced boy, the man, the some kind of, what was it? Some kind of werewolf character, essentially, looking for love, an aging werewolf. And so this is sort of showing 2 sides of this character. So there's like pretty much every other song. You get like a louder, aggressive song, and then a delicate, a delicate song, and they're all about love. I didn't realize. So I love this album. This is an album that when it came out, I was listening to this like 5 times a day for
Wow.
an extended period of time. I
You really liked this.
I was really into this album.
Yeah, you and Eddie Brill.
I don't know. It just
This is his favorite band.
it's one of my favorite bands, and this is one of my favorite albums. It's interesting because I had it on vinyl when it first came out, and I left it in New York. And recently, I was looking to see if I could just buy it again, and it's out of print, or it was. And now they're just, I think last week or something, they just did reissues of some of the Eels albums, and this one there's a new reissue of it. But I was looking at the reviews. I didn't look at the reviews at the time. I just loved the album. Critics did not like this album very much. This was because there was 4 years in between the previous album, which was called Blinking Lights and Other Revelations, which is a double album. And I guess that one was pretty critically acclaimed. And in the 4 years in between, there was like a greatest hits collection. There was a B-sides collection, a live album. He put out his book, things the grandchildren should know, I believe, which I read. A great book. It's like memoirs. And then he was also part of a documentary about his father, Hugh Everett, who was the guy that came up with the many worlds theory, the like parallel universe theory. So his dad was like a important dude. So that was what was happening in between these albums, and I guess critics kind of thought it was more of the same kind of. They didn't feel like it lived up to the album before it, but I did. There was something about this that I connected with, and I still do. I listened to it again just to make sure I still liked it, and I think it's great.
So
I know
you
Jeff hates
affirm
it.
that you like it.
I confirmed that I like. Well, I wanted to re-listen.
Okay.
How
I
many
was-
times did you listen to it? 5
Well,
times?
just once,
Okay.
but I'm gonna listen to it 5 more times after
Well, Dustin,
this.
how many times did you listen to this?
1 and I'm good. No, when I first met Anthony, I love young energy and rock and roll looking dudes and everything, and it is my comedian fetish. I am drawn to you, Jeff. Anybody that has any passion for music, I'm always like, you're the guys that I'm always talking to in green rooms. And I remember Anthony got me, he started talking about the Eels or something, and so I've seeked them out. I think they're good, and a good kind of band, but kind of like Anthony's line, just not for me or what. I feel I liked the aggressive songs on this. I feel like, and technically, what is this, a Halloween album? But
a lot of howling.
Yeah, a lot of howling. But the aggressive songs I liked. And I think I feel like, I don't know. I feel like with this kind of music, like with 21 Pilots, I feel like get the softer stuff out. That's kind of where I'm drawn to. But now, like, if you got a guitar in a band and whatever, it's like, all right, I want you to go a little harder. I think that's why I was so hard on Boy Genius up top. But yeah, the aggressive songs I like, Prize Fighter, Lilac Breeze, Lilac Breeze. Yeah, I just think every other song I liked. And then it just got kind of, some of those songs are just a little too, like, kind of Adam, Holtz kind of music, very
Yeah.
Adam.
Well, then you wouldn't like the
Like how we have an Adam genre now.
an Adam genre. You wouldn't like the first 6 albums then, because that's what the Eels do.
like, man, So, but yeah, they're fun. It's like doing shrooms in the woods, sometimes some of this music. But I did like the, every other song I thought was great.
I'm listening to. I gotta say, there was a song that I thought was one of the best songs that I hadn't heard that we reviewed on this show, and I thought that look you give that guy.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
I
that's
thought
a
it was
good
a
one.
beautiful, sweet song. That
Yeah.
if there was a song I would go back, and I did go back and listen to a couple of times, that was it. That to me was the single. That was great. I thought Tremendous Dynamite had a good build up to it. It really reminded me of the band Fran Ferdinand.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
If you know them,
Yeah.
the soft
One Hit Wonder.
songs like The Longing, My Timing is off, Ordinary Man. I thought they were okay. I really kind of think their softer stuff was better than their hard stuff. I
Really?
thought a song I thought Fresh Blood was a very haunting song, and you can feel the anxiety,
Haunting.
as
Yeah.
the song progressing. Like, I wasn't sure what the concept of this album was, but I knew there was something going on here. So there was something about that really stood out compared to the other songs. And I thought a song like Beginner's Luck was a good rock pop song. The only thing I really knew about the Eels was that when Steve Perry had retired and when he made this big comeback, he did it with the Eels. He jumped on stage with them after he had been on stage for about 15 years, and he did it at an Eels concert. Okay,
Wow.
he did a couple of songs with them. So I don't know what the connection is between the Eels and Steve Perry, but there's
I didn't
definitely
know there was
something
one.
there. I don't know, Adam. What do you think? Do you know anything about that? And what do you think about this album?
So the Eels are one of those bands like Bell and Sebastian, Yolo Tango. I hear so much on like Sirius XM, and I'm always like, oh, every song I hear I like, but I never go and really explore their catalog. And so this is the first front to back Eels album that I've listened to, and I loved it. I mean, this is my kind of music here. There's no
we know.
surprise,
Yeah.
but
Stuff that never gets played. Yes.
But,
you like to call
hide-
music
which they
to
have,
cut
you
by.
hide the knife. Yeah, exactly.
well,
Yeah,
my
we're on the
favorite
same track. Yeah.
My favorite Eels song is I guess I just looked it up. It was off I think 2 albums before this was Trouble with Dreams, which is just
That's a great one.
such a beautiful song. And this is like this whole album is kind of along that same line, that whole, desire, longing, which, so many albums are about too, desire and longing. But I guess say just like Dustin, I really like the harder songs on here. Prize Fighter, I think of Fresh Blood was excellent. And
Oh yeah, great song.
and that howling to the point where it kind of like blows out the
Yeah.
the audio. It's
It's
yeah,
too,
it's
it's almost too
fantastic.
much. They
Right.
used that as the theme song for True Blood.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. That makes sense.
Mhm. Yeah.
That's
Not
how a lot of
16-year-old
people
girl,
probably
I don't
know
watch
that
show.
song.
Oh wow.
That's a great
I
show.
didn't
Your
even think of
vampire
that.
show. The vampire
Well, it's
show.
just, it's
Jeff.
a popular
I'm
show.
joking.
So if,
It
if
was,
peop-
yeah.
if
It's off
people
the
are
air now.
watching and
It was.
listening and they don't know this album, they may
I bet
know
Sarah.
the
I bet
song.
Sarah Green watched True Blood. I'll tell
She
you
might,
that.
she might know the song.
I guarantee you.
Check out
she
the rest
watched
of the
that show.
album.
Well, did you have any more to say, Adam? Are you?
No, that was it.
Give us a signal.
Okay.
was-
Just
Yeah.
a signal. Signal.
I
Don't
was-
want to interrupt anyway. You know, I think the biggest problem that all of our albums had today was the concepts aren't very clear. And I think
Absolutely.
like The Wall is so clear.
Yeah.
It's this paranoid rock star. It's like he's going through all this. Is success worth it? Was it worth like ruining his marriage and all the things that are happening and his fame, what it's all, cracked up to be and all, like you just get it immediately. And of course a movie going with it helps, but I feel even if you just listen to The Wall, you're going to get it right away. Whereas some of this stuff today, it's like, people are, like I said, it's like, are you really at the level to be doing, the concept thing? And then, Styx was a pretty big, probably the biggest band of all of ours. And I felt like they were just trying to kind of hop on that train a little and stay relevant. So I feel everybody was doing the concept thing. So I think that's part of it. I mean, how clear is your message with your concept album?
Right.
I mean, you shouldn't have to read up on it. You should know right away what kind of they're going for. Like 21 Pilots, I had no idea what that was about. I had to read it up. But some of these, so I think that's just a interesting thing if you're making a concept album. I think it should be a little more clear. I mean, Sgt. Pepper's, I don't know what that's. I mean, is that LSD? Is that?
Right.
Well, Sgt. Pepper, the Beatles have said that they sort of abandoned the concept while they were working on it.
Okay.
So they started out, there's like the concept is supposed to be that Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band is not the Beatles.
Okay.
It's this fictional band, and they introduce the lead singer, Billy Shears, and then Ringo does the song,
Yeah.
A Little Help from My Friends, and then they don't really stick to the concept after that at all. But the
I love
album is
that.
weird.
Yeah.
And so it just they
That's
still got
interesting.
credit. Yeah.
That's why they're the Beatles. They just
Yeah.
they're so good they get abandoned the concept
Yeah.
halfway through the album.
Right.
And people are like, greatest concept
Nah.
album ever.
Yeah, yeah,
And,
you're
it's
just like-
great.
there's like-
I love it.
Yeah, but it feels like a theme,
Yeah.
Whereas was Meatloaf's album is that
No.
a concept? No,
No,
that's
they just
Huh.
they just strung the songs together and eventually becomes a rock musical. But
rock
but
musical.
I mean,
Okay.
right. But you take like I think you hit the nail on the head with The Wall. You know what that is about.
Yeah.
You know the songs
Every
make
song.
sense. It talks about it. 2112. You have even the way Geddy Lee sings in certain songs, he's singing in character. Okay. I think you're right about this, and it's particularly the Styx album. I thought the concept, I understand the story, but if you're listening to this raw, you it's all over the place.
Yep.
You have no idea. You're like, I guess there's
Yeah.
robots and
Right.
there's
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like
And parts are
trying to
made in Japan. Yes.
And there's racist artwork.
Right.
Well, they were a little
That's my
loose back
favorite
then.
part about the whole
with
thing,
the
I think.
Asian stuff. They're a little loose back in the late 70s and 80s. But this is fun. This is a fun concept.
Yeah.
This show.
Yes.
See, nothing. All right. Everybody got their time in. This
They
is
got the
great.
time,
It was
no
great.
fighting.
Good job. Way to go, Jeff. Way to go.
Thank you, guys.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much for listening and watching here. Dustin's Vinyl. Go support record stores and check out our YouTube page. We'll update that soon. Wink, wink.
Right.
And we got more clips and fun stuff coming. All right. Thanks, everybody. Thank you.
I gotta
Comedy Hub.
go. Take
Bye-bye.
care, folks.
Woo!